Oh, no, I think we're rolling. So,
Rolling. We're rolling, baby.
yeah, Zencaster's changing things. But anyway, Tim, welcome back. I'm so glad to have another low port podcast with you, buddy. I know we're horribly unreliable with these, but hey, we keep going, and you get them when you get them, and
You know, I think
you
I
should be
think the
damn
great
well
thing
happy.
about them, I think the great thing about having them like this is kind of impromptu is that we don't have to roll by a schedule, which actually gives us, I think, interesting stuff to talk about. Versus like if we did a weekly thing,
Manufactured,
yeah,
yeah.
sometimes you're just like, okay, I guess we're gonna talk about this or mention something else again. So
How
it's
about
kind
those
of good
Cowboys?
to treat it like
Yeah.
like we're just catching up. So which is really what we're doing.
Well, let's catch up, Jim. So, what's happened since we last talked? I think we shot a match at Legacy Ranch together.
We did, yeah. That which was really cool. So Parker Tomasi and his father, and I think a couple of other of Parker's friends are all investors and purchased the once what was it called, Founders Ranch, which used to be the
Mm-hmm.
home of like the Single Action Shooting Society and Cowboy Action stuff.
SAS.
Unfortunately, I think COVID really kind of saw the demise of that range, or the who used to be the owners prior to that. So then that range sat on the market for a while, and Parker and family kind of was able to strike a deal and snatch it up, and they're doing awesome things there. I think they've had a PCSL match or two. They've done some kind of non-USPSA kind of outlaw type matches, which is in fact what I think you and I shot the Saturday following Thanksgiving, which was very impromptu. I don't think there was any plans to do it before like the day of Thanksgiving, when he kind of announced like, "Hey guys, on Saturday we're going to do a match out here," and threw together six stages, and we all got together and shot. I think there were, God, what, 35, 38 people or something that showed up for that match.
Yeah, it was a good turnout, and it was last minute. But I think Wayne designed a bunch of stages and just said, "Hey, let's build them."
Yep,
And
he
so
did.
I know normally they're going for a kind of an experience where you go and the match is set up and this and that. We set it up the day of, but you know what? They did it last minute, and it was a really fun match.
I thought so too.
And yeah, and it's cool that we got to shoot together. It doesn't happen all the time, so that was
I know,
fun.
right?
And I'm just so happy. I got to say that range is operational again because it's a really really neat facility.
I
Like
agree.
it's got all the town stuff. Like literally, like there's old cowboy buildings built and stuff like that. It looks like a Wild West town. There's longhorn cattle because it was the SAS range originally, like you said, the single. What is it?
Single Action Shooting Society. Yeah, that
Thank
was
you. Yeah.
they called their End of Trails match there, which was the single action like world championships were there every year, which was like a 2 week event, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow. So it's
Like,
got a unique vibe for sure,
it really
and
does.
they've got a ton of bays, so it's no problem to run USPSA and two gun matches and stuff like
Yeah,
that
I
there, and
counted.
it's
So here, me being kind of a range owner now myself, like I get really interested in a lot of other ranges, like infrastructure and stuff like that. So
what are the dimensions?
yeah, well, I
Yeah.
don't know about the dimensions, but I was
Yeah.
like pretty enthralled with like how many bays do they have there? Because as you know, and I think we announced it when we did our recap of the state sectional match, that the New Mexico section championships for 2025 are going to be at Legacy Ranch. So I
That's going
know
to be great.
Jeremy Kirschbaum's got some mega ideas to basically have a state sectional championship match that's going to rival most area matches. So I think he's planning on like 13 or 14 stages. And at first I was like, where are we going to put them? And then as we were leaving, or as I was leaving that range a couple Saturdays ago from that match, I I'm pretty sure I counted 18 bays, and
Yeah,
then they've
they got
got
a
a
lot
couple of rifle bays as well. And I know he's got an entire like 3 gun side for long distance rifle shooting and stuff that they do there as well. So uh, I think as it stands, that place is big enough to be able to host damn near anything I could even dream of, wanting, whether it be an area match or a state sectional match or possibly the PCSL, national championships. I mean, it could be, he could just about do anything there.
for sure. And Jeremy, like a really good match director. I know he's pretty new at it, but he's like we've espoused on the last episode. I think like this New Mexico sectionals was probably the best one ever.
Oh,
He still
100%.
drew a pretty respectable crowd, even though it was down in El Magordo, New Mexico, which is pretty logistically challenging for people to get to.
Hmm.
So I think this year having it being right outside of Albuquerque
Yeah, it's like
with this
25 minutes outside
facility,
of Albuquerque. Yeah.
oh my god, yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
Like, so
And
I'm supposed to be kind of like assistant match directing with Jeremy for the sectional match. And of course, like he's like, man, I want to be able to break whatever our record was, or has been ever for number of participants, which I think the record's like 151, and we
it'll
almost
be
matched or
automatic,
surpassed that
dude.
this year with 150.
Yeah,
And I'm like, why stop there? Like I would love to see 200 or 200 plus, like for the match.
I think that can easily happen. Again, logistically, it's easier. The range has the facility to do 14 plus stages easily, so I think you
Easy.
can run that many shooters. Yeah, I'm pumped. I just can't wait to see what he does with it and to see what Legacy does with it. So
Me
it's going
too.
to be awesome.
Me
It's
too.
a good time to be shooting in Albuquerque. Honestly, I think a lot of good stuff is happening. So
Tons of stuff.
and
Not even in Albuquerque, but in the state. Period. We've got a kind of a new club that opened up too. That Jeremy also, and he and our section coordinator Randy Ryan have gone out there a couple of times to Farmington, New Mexico, to see about like helping those guys out with establishing a new USPSA club and stuff up there as well. So it's really
awesome.
cool to see just the
So we've
entire
got Farmington, we've got Las Cruces, Ruidoso, or Roswell, and
Roswell.
a couple in Albuquerque now. So yeah, New Mexico's not doing too shabby.
Yep. Then there's like Carlsbad. There's Silver City. There's all kinds of Clovis. There's all sorts of places within the state to shoot now, which is really cool.
I love it. And besides all those, Tim Herron has his own personal range.
I do.
His newly expanded personal range.
I did.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
2022, I'd finally got the opportunity to build what I thought was my dream range, and it was, and it has been. And I built
But
3 bays.
dreams grow; they
Yeah,
expand.
they do, right?
Like, yeah.
So I had originally 3 bays and a shade structure, an outdoor classroom, and I've really pumped a lot in just blood, sweat, and tears and money into having kind of an ultimate practical shooting range and training grounds that I could do everything from host classes to host matches. I've done everything from 6 to 8 stage matches. Last year, I did the first inaugural Holiday Hangover Pro Am Championships last year, and everything's been good on the 3 bays that I've had. But of course, like you said, as dreams grow, it was just one of those things where I was like, man, I wish I had a couple of more bays. I wish I had a little bit more room on the bays that I currently have, and so I made that happen. So the last couple of years, I've been saving my pennies again, and decided to reinvest a bit into this past week, and opened up 2 of my existing 3 bays to make them much wider and bigger. And then I built 3 more bays on top of it. So I now have it's kind of grown from a personal shooting range, personal shooting facility to I, God, it's funny. The guy that's been moving dirt with me, he was like, dude, he says, you've got a range that is bigger than most city entity ranges for stuff. So I've got 3 more bays I added. 2 of the bays are 30 to 33 yards wide and 25 yards deep. My
Wow,
2 existing bays that I opened up, they're now 25 yards.
girthy boys.
I kept my
Yeah.
one skinny bay, which is 10 yards wide by 25 yards deep. And then on the back side of the facility, I added a mega bay, which is 60 yards wide and 40 to 45 yards deep.
That's
So
a big boy. Yeah.
it, we should have no issues being able to put like 30-yard targets, 90 degrees to your left and 90 degrees to your right, and 40-yard targets downrange. And it's pretty awesome. So I acquired another another club that kind of went defunct. Acquired a bunch of their props and walls and equipment. So on top of the investment in growing the range, I also acquired, I want to say 26 or 27 more walls. Um, all 8-foot walls with, some have got ports in them and things like that too. And they're all metal walls, wall stands, um, 2 Texas stars, 14 poppers, and gosh, what else? Like 50 some plus more target stands as well. So I now have enough within my own range now to be able to support 6 big bays and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, I kind of renaming this from like the Tim Herron shooting, training range to, I don't know, call it the playground or something. Cause I mean, got a lot going on. So,
Well, with some of those larger berms, I mean, you could do more than practical pistol. You could do carbine stuff. You could do 2-gun stuff. You could really stretch your wings. And
really, that was kind of the premise behind wanting a big bay on the backside, was to be able to, whether it's to host other instructors, and to be able to offer some other class opportunities for New Mexico, with like carbine classes or PCC type stuff, or like what all like 2-gun stuff too. Yeah.
But Tim, you don't need that big of a bay to host the stage that you and I thought might be a good idea when we were at Legacy Ranch. Because Legacy Ranch had a lot of good stages, but they were only 20 or so rounds, and you were saying,
Mhm.
I think it might be fun to have a 32 round stage. And I thought we came up with a pretty good idea for an interesting 32 round stage, if you remember.
I agree. Yep.
Yeah. So do you want to describe that, or should I?
You go ahead, kick that one off. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's everybody wants to shoot a lot, but not everybody wants to set up a lot of targets. Setting up targets is hard, and we don't want to do it. We never want to do it.
Right.
So what if you just had a 16 per target stage with 2 targets? Virginia count, obviously, because we want to be accountable. But yeah, you just have 2 targets at 2 yards, and you draw and you put 16 into each of them. Virginia count. What's wrong with that? It's very easy. And we already came up with a good stage name for it, too.
Yep.
Crime of Passion, baby.
Crime of Passion stage. And while shooting the stage, you have to be screaming in agony.
You literally have to be screaming. Every shot you break without screaming is procedural.
Like, yeah.
You must scream.
Like,
yeah.
And you pause if you need to reload, and then you're back on it again. Right.
And you have to say, I can't believe it when you're reloading. Yep. With Bob? No. So
it would be hilarious. It would be hilarious.
Okay.
So
yeah. Bad joke. We were just cracking up about that.
Exactly. But it was fun. So but yeah, with the range expansion, and so I've been a little late. Last year I opened up registration for my Holiday Hangover Pro-Am match, which last year we did 8. I thought they were pretty challenging. We did 8 kind of challenging Pro-Am style stages. So a Pro-Am, for those that are unfamiliar, it's not a regular USPSA match. There's walls and barricades and things to shoot around, and all of the typical obstacles that one might see at a USPSA match. But every stage was a fixed time, and then every stage is set up with pretty much more targets than you can actually complete in the fixed time. So everything, like each cardboard target or falling steel, is worth 1 point. So I kind of a mix between 3-gun rules and then traditional Pro-Am. So a traditional Pro-Am format is all falling steel. Well, I don't have 250 pieces of falling steel, so I decided to blend kind of the 3-gun format, which was 2 hits anywhere on a cardboard target, or 1 alpha scores that one, like basically neutralizes that one target, and scores a point. So every target that you neutralize, or every steel that falls, scores 1 point. And then I had a few of the stages had bonus plates that were a little more difficult too. I'd like surround a no shoot, kind of in front of them or behind them, make the shots pretty difficult. And then that bonus plate would be worth like 3 points. But if you hit the no shoot around it, it was also a negative 3 points. So there was a, kind of a risk reward kind of balance on that too. But yeah, last year was the first year to do it. Did kind of made it a trophy only match, which was a lot of fun. We did a potluck dinner afterwards, so everybody brought a dish. Um, it was a good time. And we had a lot of shooters that had never shot a pro-am format before that didn't really know what they were in for. And within 2 stages, it was great. I had a lot of folks coming up to me. They were like, you have to do this every year. This match was a lot of fun. It's a different format. I liked it. It was challenging in different ways. So I, kind of made a promise that I would do an annual. I'd make it a holiday annual. So I was a little late getting the registration open up this year because
with the expansions and stuff.
Right. I wasn't for sure whether the expansion would be done yet. And I didn't want to make plans and then not be able to, to kind of keep my promises to people. But yeah, we finished everything just about yesterday and then really finalized all the loose ends today. So yeah, yesterday I opened up registration. We've already got, I think, 20 people registered for the match and I've capped it at 50. But we do have an opportunity to possibly open it up to 60 people if we do reach the 50 mark. But and there will not be any potluck dinner this year, just simply because we just don't know. Like last year was tough because it was cold and it did get really windy.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people, after shooting 8 stages, there was a lot of people that kind of dipped out. So we ended up with way more food than we had people to consume it. And then I think people were just starting to get tired. So I thought this year, especially with the size of the bays and what I'm kind of wringing my hands and can't wait to put on for everybody, I'm going to focus more so on, instead of trying to consolidate stages into just the 3 bays. Now I have the room to really expand things. So I'm focusing on 8 to 9 really kick-ass, big, challenging stages. And I would much rather my focus be on like match quality over like the luncheon or the potluck kind of thing. I don't know if people want to bring sides or, I don't know, bring cookies or desserts or something like that. Great. I'm also planning a man-on-man steel shoot-off. So instead of like last year, there was like a tiebreaker stage. The tiebreaker stage now will be a best 2 out of 3 man-on-man steel shoot-off. And then I thought I would open that up to everybody kind of as a side match. So after the main match is over and we kind of get everything cleaned up, we'll set everything up for a man-on-man and for like a $5 buy-in, and then kind of do like a 50% prize money to the winner, and then like second and third split what's left over kind of thing, which I thought would be kind of fun. So I really want to focus all the efforts on like a really kick-ass match this year. I've got trophies ordered already, which I think they're going to blow people's socks off too. So it's going to be
pumped. I signed up today. I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent.
Last year was cool. The Pro-Am format, the first time I'd ever shot it was at your match. First and only so far. And it's interesting. It's different because you just have to calculate what can I really honestly get through. And then with Pro-Am, with mostly paper instead of steel, that's a different calculation as well. Because once that paper starts to kind of push out there, well, 1 alpha neutralizes. I can save a lot of time by shooting 1 alpha, but if I don't neutralize it and I just slide into a Charlie, that's not going to be so good. So it's an interesting match. It's just a little twist on how you game out your stages and stuff like that. And I thought it was a ton of fun.
Cool. So, and I'll do the same thing again this year too. So like walkthroughs can happen, fairly quickly. Nothing will be a super memory type of stage or anything. But last year was kind of the same way. The stages were fairly simple, but the strategy was like, it was great because I didn't shoot the match. I just was a full-time match director. But it was neat to kind of sneak in and listen to how guys were, like entire squads were talking about like, what's the best way to break the stage down, like, oh man, on these, they're really, really close. So, you could shoot 1 alpha on each of these and conserve your ammo to be able to shoot these targets over here and possibly score more targets, because there's a gun handling aspect to it as well. So because it's a pro-am, right, there's only 2 divisions. So everything is run what you brung. And so pro division, I limit the pro shooters to 10 rounds in each 10 round capacity. So you get 10 plus one in the gun to start, and then you can reload. You have to reload after 10 rounds. So whereas the amateurs, instead of changing like the par time, which would just be a logistical nightmare, to constantly have to figure out, okay, oh, you're an amateur. Okay, we got to add 2 seconds to the par. Oh, you're a pro. You got to go 2 seconds away. I thought, well, just for the amateurs, I'll give them 15 rounds plus one in the chamber. So they get 15 round capacity, whereas pros get 10. So it challenges the pros a little bit more. It also kind of allows the amateurs to not have to worry so much about gun handling and focus their efforts on collecting points. And then the breakdown for pro and amateur, and it may not sound super fair, but you know what? I thought it broke down very, very similar for everybody and very fair this past year. And so I'm just going to keep the same format. So for pro, if you're USPSA A class or you're IDPA expert or above, so A class to GM or expert to distinguished master in IDPA, you're in your pro division. And then for amateur division, it's IDPA sharpshooter or marksman. And then USPSA, it's unclassified up to C class. I'm sorry, up to B class.
B class.
And
Yeah.
B class or below, or sharpshooter or below, or marksman or below, whatever that cutoff is in IDPA, land you in amateur. And then for that, and it makes it easy too for like prizes or trophies. I don't have to worry about like, oh, there's 9 divisions I have to focus on. It's so pro trophies down the top 3 places, first through third. And in amateur, I do trophy down to 5th place on that. So it's just the top 5 amateur, top 5 or top 3 pro. And yeah, it broke out. I thought it broke out very, very, very fair last year. We had, I think, if I look at the breakdown on it, it was like pro, amateur, amateur, pro, amateur, pro, amateur, pro, amateur, amateur. I mean, it was a good mix of both divisions being recognized, in the overall standings, which was a lot of fun.
No, it's a fun and unique kind of match. I don't think you can really get many other places. So
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. Early January, buddy.
me too. January 5th. So I've got registration opened up, and I'm ready to fill this bad boy. It's going to be a good
So
time.
search for match name X on practicescore.com.
Yep, yeah. Holiday Hangover. If you type in holiday or holiday hangover or Pro-Am Championship, it should, like any of those keywords, should search it and find it.
Perfect. Yeah, guys, sign up. It will be a good time. Even if we don't have people bringing raw chuck roasts to cook for the potluck this year. So, is this what you need?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
today, to kind of shift gears, today you hosted your match at the Del Norte range in Rio Rancho, and how'd that go?
Yes. Yeah. So we've had a hiatus of 2 or 3 months because just of various travel with other matches and stuff for me. I haven't been able to do the Del Norte match for a little while, but we finally got back to it here in December, and it was a great match. We got I think we ended up with about 30 people, which is pretty typical for us.
Especially in
But
December. That
yeah,
it can be a little tight to try to get people out to matches. What an
yeah,
unusually warm day today, too, though.
it was nice. Of course, typical New Mexico. The morning was a little chilly, but by 10 o'clock, it was beautiful.
Yeah,
Honestly, like I was
high of
taking
like
my sweatshirt off.
53 or 54 degrees today. It was great.
Perfectly sunny, no wind, so it was awesome. And the cool thing about today, even though we had kind of like a typical turnout in terms of overall numbers, was that there was proportionally a ton of new shooters, which
Oh,
made
that's
me really,
fantastic.
really happy. We probably had almost 10 people out of that 30 that were new shooters, that were first time guys.
Outstanding.
Yeah, so that's great. And at least on my squad and a couple of other people I talked to anecdotally as we're breaking down the match, like they loved it. They thought it was just so fun, and I think we'll have a couple of return customers. So I
That's
love
awesome.
that. The whole reason I wanted to create a club is to grow the community here in New Mexico, and when we get new shooters and they have a good time, that's a success in my book. So I'm so glad
Absolutely.
to
It's like
return and have that.
it's like fishing and catching a big one, right? It's like you got them hooked, and you're like, "Ha ha, gotcha!" Like especially when you see them come back, week after week too. Super cool.
Oh, exactly. It's great. I love people to have a good experience, and people figure stuff out too. They learn good lessons. Like we had a new shooter today, and the first two stages, I think, like he had 10 malfunctions a stage. Like
Mm.
that gun was just getting jammed up, and he was having a hard time. He kept it safe and everything. Experienced guy, you could tell. Like he knew how to handle a gun. He listened to the rules. He knew the 180, all this and that. But the thing just wasn't working. And Joseph Cordova and I were kind of running RO and timer most of the time. And Joseph, being on the right side of this guy, noticed, hey man, your thumb is just, I think it's touching your slide stop and it's pushing it up.
Oh,
And Joe told him that, and he crushed it the rest of the match.
excellent.
And he was running from appendix and everything, so that was his like defensive gun. So
Yeah.
coming out and doing competition really revealed like an important technique change for him to run that gun effectively. And
Oh,
he
exactly.
killed it. He killed it the rest of the match and had a great time. And he was one of the dudes who was like, "Man, I'm coming back." I told him about your match and the other ones that are available in the area, and I think he's hooked now, which is so cool. That's exactly why we're doing this, right?
That is absolutely why we're doing it. I mean, that's kind of one of the big reasons why I've wanted to put, I wanted to invest in the range, here at my house too. Is granted, I travel the country, for a living, teaching, so in teaching practical shooting. So like I'm never home enough to really get to use this big investment that I've made. But at the same time, when I am home, I love hosting matches. I love doing, kind of impromptu practice sessions. You and Joe have come over a few times. Ross has
Yep.
come out, a few times and practice and trained. And, especially like I've got World Shoot coming up for next year as well. So now having a facility with no holds barred, I can do and train and practice however I need to. It's
Single stack world champion.
Yeah, I'm
Here we
hoping
go.
that's a
This
that's
is
the
it.
that's
Send
the
Tim love in the comments.
so yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's neat to for me to like be able to have an opportunity to give back, and help grow the community out here too. So now
Yeah, it's awesome.
I mentioned or you mentioned today before we jumped on the air too about did you do something different with the stages for this match?
Well, funny you should ask, Tim. I sure did do something different. And with Del Norte, I try to give an experience for shooters where they show up and the stages are set up and you just shoot. I,
Hmm.
I think that's fun. When I was living in Utah, that's what they did up at the Slipser Range in Salt Lake City, and it's awesome.
Yep.
I know some ranges can't do that because, like the city range, the city just says no, you can't set up the day before, whatever.
Right.
Like that's what it is. But so I've always tried to set up stages the day before so you can show up and shoot at the Del Norte match, and it's
That's
it's a
awesome.
struggle because Del Norte, that the people at that range quite smartly like made it way outside of the city so that it'll be a while before suburbia encroaches on it and
Hmm.
people buy houses next to a gun range and they complain that it's loud that they bought houses next to a gun range and get it shut down. So it's out there. It's like 9 miles on dirt. So it's a little difficult to go to the edge of the city and then cruise out 9 miles on dirt roads to get out to the range. So it's tough to get out there and set up a match or whatever. And I'm usually somewhere on the Friday before my match, like around really bad months are like 4 people. Good months are like 8 people, but I don't have a ton of people to set up my 5 stage match. So this month, there's a great USPSA stage design page on Facebook that you are possibly the most prolific contributor to. And, I don't know. You must have been thinking about me, man. You're always thinking about other people. You're such a generous guy. But you posted a bunch of stages that were meant to be quite interesting stages, but with like minimal equipment for setup. And
I
so
did.
I stole,
Three
I
walls
stole
and two
like,
stacks of barrels was kind of the equipment limitation. And kind of for myself, the challenge was how do I design some interesting stages with options out of very very minimal equipment to and actually it wasn't my idea. It was actually sparked by I want to say a gentleman out of Canada that was looking for minimalistic stage designs just for practice and training for like one of the IPSC clubs up there. And I thought, man, what a cool idea. And at the same time, what a really cool but difficult challenge. So I sat down one afternoon and I think I knocked out like 6 or 7 different stages with all that same kind of theme. Just like you get 3 walls and you get 2 stacks of barrels. What can you accomplish with that? So
Well, it worked great. So I basically stole 3 of the stages you posted,
that's
and then I
awesome.
stole another one from some Canadian guy. So it was probably that same dude.
I think
And
it
then
was.
I did a class, and then I did a classifier because I always have a classifier. Um, but it was awesome. Yeah, like I had 5 people, I think, on Friday, and instead of taking 3 hours to set up the match, we were done in an hour and a half.
That's
And
phenomenal.
then it was phenomenal. And then everybody today who I talked to after shooting the match, like, were complimenting the stages. They were like, "That was such a fun match. Those were great stages." And so, mission accomplished. Like, those things, people loved them, and it made
Very
my job a lot easier getting the match on the ground. So you don't need to have a lot of stuff and have a circus carnival house or whatever to put on a good stage. You just got to kind of think it through a little bit. And I'm glad you put those together because yeah, this
awesome.
was a great
Well,
match.
I can't
Yeah.
necessarily take it. Like I said, that I can't take the credit for it. That gentleman that's also a pretty significant contributor in that USPSA IPSC stage design page. Kind of got the ball rolling on that. There's some other guys there. A gentleman by the name of Cameron, who designs a bunch of stages for his club, and he's got 2 clubs, an outdoor club and an indoor club, and he's always real gracious with sharing a bunch of really cool stage designs there too. And another good friend of mine, Alex Sotelo, out of Southern California. Alex always designs some really interesting stages with a lot of options and stuff too. And it's pretty neat. Like even behind the scenes, we private message each other, quite a bit and kind of talk about like, hey, have you ever tried to do something like this? And they'll come up with a theme or an equipment list, and it's neat to kind of push the envelope and then just be able to share, some of our vision with, I don't know. I think there's a few, like 5 or 6 thousand people in that group
Yeah.
that get to share and contribute stage designs to. So it makes it easy when you're a match director, or a club manager to just sometimes you're just out of ideas, and it's great to somebody else kind of does all the outside the box thinking for you, and that be able to contribute to stage designs and stuff. So I have found it to be very, like, for me, it's like putting together puzzles for fun, or doing crossword puzzles or something.
Yeah,
It's kind of neat to sit down and like, what can I create today? So
stage design itself is like a fun challenge, but then trying to do it with constrained props is kind of another challenge too. That's fun. And no, I think the concept was proven at this match today
that's
because
awesome.
everybody loved it. And I hope people continue in this meme of minimalistic stage design because it's just as fun. The match is everybody has the same level of enjoyment, but we don't have to spend quite as much time setting it up and breaking it down. So it's
Yep,
a win-win in my opinion. Yeah.
100%.
But yeah, it was fantastic. I shot the old pinky here.
Hell yeah.
I'm en- I'm enjoying LO. It's a good time. Um, but yeah, looking forward to your match, buddy.
Awesome.
And
Well, I'm
let's see
hoping
what else is.
between now and the hangover match to possibly maybe even next Sunday, do just kind of an impromptu match after the city range match on Saturday, and maybe
Mhm.
having inviting everybody out if they want to come out next Sunday, and just kind of maybe we'll throw together. I'm not looking to probably put 8 or 9 stages on the ground, but maybe I can get motivated this week to put a good 6 or 7 stages out, or 5 or 6 stages, and kind of test out some of the new bays and new props, and have some fun next Saturday or next Sunday.
Yeah, that would be great.
Hell yeah.
Where's the invite, buddy?
It's right there. You got it.
All right. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, looking forward to ramping up my training in coming into the new year. So I shot open a lot last year,
Mhm.
and what was revealed to me is I think people go through phases as a shooter. At least I have. But I was originally a really aggressive shooter, and I would throw penalties and stuff like that. But I was always fast, and then I slowed down, got better hits, started shooting open, and then finally realized after the nationals and open this year that I was just way too slow. So I'm just trying to go speed, 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 and
Yeah.
try to get my speed back up, which is really punishing me now that I'm shooting LO a little bit with minor
Yes.
scoring. Like, I think you rightly made fun of me for shooting like 50% Charlies at the first stage at Legacy match.
Oh,
And you know what?
yeah.
God damn it, Tim! I did the same damn thing today.
Oh, no.
But yeah, but it was fast.
You're getting the hang
So
of it.
yeah,
You're
I,
getting
I have to remind myself that I'm shooting minor after the first stage or so. Um,
Yep.
but it's fun to just build up on speed and stuff. And so that's kind of my evolution of training. And I know as long as I am focusing on building more attention towards the vision and looking at the right place and finding what I need to see at that speed, it's going to come together. So I think it's just part of those phases of shooter where now I need to push speed to get better. And so that's where I'm at. And it's a lot of fun. So um, I think the part-time match will be a cool place to test that out a little bit.
It gives me a great opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm. And so I don't know. So I think we're running up to time a little bit, but you are approaching a really interesting thing that most people will never get to do, and that you're going to a world shoot soon.
Yep.
Um,
So
as
September,
you approach that,
the IPSC
so,
World Shoot, and it'll be in South Africa. And yeah, I'm really excited. I qualified for the Classic Division team this over the past 2 years with some of my, I had some really strong performances, not necessarily always the best performance that I want, as far as like I'd like to have won an IPSC national title, and I'd like to have won a USPSA national title this, one of these last couple of matches, but I finished really close, been top five now, two or three of those major matches throughout the year. So it was enough to really ramp up and give me the
sure.
qualifying points to be able to qualify for the U.S. team. So I'm
Well,
super
consistency,
excited.
consistency, consistency, right? You don't need to set a lap record every time. You just need to throw
Exactly,
down solid
exactly.
every circle there. So that's
So
super cool. But I think people would be interested to hear from somebody with like an opportunity like you have, who's built themselves up over years in this sport and now is going to represent our entire country at the World Shoot. How do you approach training for something
uh,
like that?
so this year especially, and I don't know because I've never been in this position before. So I've been reaching out to every influence that I've had, years past and present too, and asked everybody I can, like, hey, you've done the World Shoot before, or like what does a World Shoot year of training look like for you? And most everybody were like, okay, well, whatever you typically shoot in a single year just for your own training, double it. And I'm like, okay. So, I mean, that gives me a,
It's time to throw down. Yeah,
yeah. So my plans to shoot somewhere between 60 to 80,000 rounds next year, just for training, practice, matches, classes, everything. My other goal throughout 2025, all the way going, all the way up to the first day of World Shoot, is to handle the gun in some way, shape, or form, either dry fire, live fire, or both, every single day. So it just just to make sure I'm staying up on everything. And then as far as training, I mean, it's basically for me, it's doing a lot of what I've already been doing, but just like harder, faster, stronger, longer strings of fire, more complex. Just I want to kind of leave no stone unturned. One of the
sure.
other things too is I want to make sure, like, physical fitness wise, I'm I'm better than I have been. So I've been a little lazy the last couple 2 or 3 years too, like just taking care of my own health. I kind of quit running, quit working out. Like, I'm on the road enough, I get enough exercise, and
Yeah, being on the road makes that really
it does.
easy to
It's
slip
hard.
into.
So
Yeah.
that's going to be the big push too. Is, like I said, I want to leave no stone unturned. I really want to make sure that
Awesome.
I'm training to the point where when I go to World Shoot, I want to know the only way somebody's going to beat me is because they've had to have out trained me throughout the last 10 months.
And you've got a 6 bay range now, right? So you can practice all those positions and all that stuff too.
All sorts of stuff. So yeah,
Yeah, that's super
like
cool.
I said, I should have zero excuses.
What about Ace XR? Are you going to run some VR
I
training for
run
this?
ACE. This week I've not been able to shoot much of it just because I've been so busy with other things. But yeah, I mean, part of my kind of supplementary dry fire and stuff is to put on the headset and shoot ACE at least a couple of times a week as well, just for visual exercises and everything else too. Processing speed is so fast in ACE, and I do see benefits, like transferring from ACE to like what I'm able to do, in real life too. So it's been a good addition.
For sure. Yeah, I've got my setup right there. I don't use it enough, but when I do, I'm like, man, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I can sit here and shoot 2,000 rounds in my living room.
Yep.
And when I go run some real stuff through the pipe at the range, I'm going to be better.
Hell
And
yes.
so it's a good investment. I'm very happy with it.
Awesome.
All right, buddy. Well, we covered a bit of ground today. It's great to catch up with you a little bit.
Definitely.
Looking forward to your holiday hangover match. Looking forward to following up with you and hearing how your training is going as you prepare for the World Shoot in September of this coming year. So I think that'll be a fun thing to document. And I know
I think
everybody
so
listening
too.
to this will be rooting for you. Um, uh, it's fun to be a minor celebrity. A guy in my building approached me the other day who I don't know, who I work with, and said, "Hey, when's a podcast coming out again?" So it's fun to be a minor celebrity with you,
That
sir.
is cool, right?
And 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 there's a lot of folks out here who I think really care about what about how you're shooting and how you're doing, and everybody's pulling for you, buddy. So
Awesome. I appreciate it.
well,
I really do.
yeah,
Well, cool, Josh.
well,
This has
cool,
been
man.
fun. We're definitely going to have to get this more regular as this year progresses. Especially, just I think it would be really cool to kind of document everything, either week to week or month to month. In a format that just lets everybody kind of know what we're doing and how training is progressing. So
I think that would be awesome. I think people would be really interested in hearing that.
yeah,
And we'll be better in the new year, right? We'll make a resolution to do at least monthly. We'll
100%.
we'll try we'll try for that, and yeah, it'll be great. And
I agree.
Tim, one thing towards the beginning of the podcast that we did and talked about that was really fun was in January of last year we went down and stayed at Ross's Airbnb in Ruidoso and
Yeah,
shot down south at Roswell and then Alamogordo. I think we should do something like that again
I
early in
would
the new
love
year
to do that
if
again.
time permits. That was a good weekend.
I agree. It was absolutely an awesome weekend.
All right. Well, awesome, man. And, everybody listening, you guys could have awesome weekends too with your friends if you just started shooting USPSA more. So make a commitment in the new year to be a better person and to shoot more practical pistol or 3-gun or whatever suits your tastes. But, just improve yourself is what I'm trying to tell you.
Heck
All
yeah.
right. Well, thanks, Tim, and we'll talk to you next time, buddy.
Thank you. All right. See you guys.
See ya.